Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Adobe Live. It's been a turn of the seasons this morning. It feels blustery and cold, and winter is on the way. So I hope you're all nice and cozy and ready for a great stream. Today I'm joined by Carina Lindmeier, and we got some fun to go through. Right? I'm excited for this. So welcome. If you'd like to introduce yourself and what you're up to, what you're about, that'd be great for everyone.
Hello, hello. I'm so excited being here with you today. Yeah, my name is Carina Lindmeier. I'm based in Austria and I'm an illustrator. And today it's gonna be super fun because we will explore Aero together.
Amazing. I was just saying, actually, I don't know a huge amount of Aero. I've only ever seen demonstrations of it. I don't think I've ever personally played around with it. So I'm hoping that I can and get inspired to take on yet another creative venture of some sort. But likewise, that does mean if we run into any difficulties, I'm afraid I'm no help. So we shall see how this goes. And of course, we are joined by plenty of people in the chat. So I hope you're all doing fine this Monday afternoon. Hello to Kirsty, Stephen, Matthias, who I believe is streaming not tomorrow, joining us on Wednesday. Michelle, Andreas, Enlightened Swami, plenty of other people. Let us know in the chat if you're watching. And of course, the chat we're referring to is on Behance. So if you're watching this on YouTube, that's cool. You can hang out there and carry on. But if you'd like to join in with the chat, come and join us on Behance. And that's where we'll be able to see your messages. And I'll try and pass them on as we're going through things. So let's jump to it. This is going to be fun. Aero.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah. Matthias, Robert, and Melanie did a fun project together back in April. They decided to collaborate and mix up Adobe Substance and Aero. And they created a very fun project for Earth Day, which also was in April, I guess. And I hope you can see my screen because I opened up. Oh, nice. Because they created a very beautiful Behance case. I really love that people are doing this because it's so fun to get a nice overview of the whole project. So as you can see, they created this nice scene. I think Matthias was building all the elements. By the way, he's also in the chat. Hi, Matthias. Thanks for sharing all your assets with me. And I think Robert built all the nice, I'm sorry, I missed the English word. He created the surfaces and did all the things in Adobe Substance Painter. So Matthias did the stager thing. Yep. Robert did the thing in Painter, and Melanie created a nice augmented reality experience in Aero. So cool. Here are all three of them.
It's like a good separation of like disciplines that you know, everyone has their own channel, but collectively it all comes together.
Yeah.
Works quite well.
Yeah, it's super cool. Also within the Creative Cloud, it's so easy to collaborate, even if you're not in the same place. So it's super fun, and it's so exciting to see what people can create within different disciplines.
Yeah, and this is was this earlier this year? Earth Day or last year? Yeah, okay.
This year in April.
Very cool. And it's always interesting. I love, just as you're scrolling through here, I love seeing the way that creative people present their work, because sometimes that in itself is enough to get inspired. Yeah. Like just seeing layout of things and just seeing the sketch here as well.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I love just diving into the mind on it. It's really interesting.
By the way, you can see the whole case on Melanie's Behance page, but I think it's also on Matthias and Robert's. Here you can see the scribble they did when they met for some kind of brainstorming. They wanted to create a nice scene with some kind of false perspectives, so that you can hide some elements in the back. We will talk about this later on in Aero. And they also created a nature-inspired color palette with, I think they used Adobe Capture.
Okay.
It's very nice. You can just upload a picture and then you can automatically generate your own color palette out of the picture you chose.
Yeah. Yeah, you can have a lot of fun with that. I believe you can use it either immediately or you can add your own photos from your library.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have to be in a colorful place to use
No.
it.
But it's super fun. I use it a lot for the work I do as well, because it's so easy. You can automatically upload all the color palettes you've created to your Creative Cloud library, and then it's ready to go.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's super fun. So here we see how they created it in Substance 3D Stager. And that's so nice. I think the whole case is super beautiful and they put it together so perfect.
So for those who don't know, I guess maybe we give a background on Substance and Aero, because they are relatively new apps, and if we're talking in the lifetimes of things like Photoshop and Illustrator that have been around for 25, 30 years. Substance and Aero, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're stages to build 3D scenes, correct? And then you can create assets and images from different camera angles that you choose. Brilliant.
Yep. And there's also, you can find a lot of elements in the libraries. We can also talk about this later. I will show some elements which are automatically in the Aero library.
Yep.
So even if you don't have the time to create something by yourself, you can play around with the existing ones. So it's That's also good. Super fun. Yeah.
We've got a question actually from Sean, asking, is this project one large project or is it sliced up? And I'm going to add on to that. What sort of resolution are we dealing with in this?
What do you mean exactly?
So is this one scene that all these images we're seeing? Is the camera sort of moved around and found like a little pocket of an area and then other things? And then are the pixel dimensions, can we generate, say, a 4K image from this, or is it limited?
I think it depends. I mean, I can just say how it works in Aero, but it's a good question for Robert or Matthias for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, because they will also be on stream and talk about their parts of the project. I think you always have to keep in mind in which dimension you want to work, because if you want to transfer it to the real world, I mean, we're now working in a digital environment, but in the end, we want to play around on our mobile devices or transfer the scenes into our living room, for example. Or if you want to create something in Aero for an exhibition, for example, or you can also see this kind of work, or a lot of people are using it also for architecture things now, where you can place some furniture within your living room. So then it's always important to keep in mind in which dimensions you want to work, because it makes no sense when you create a huge scene and then it doesn't fit into your living room, for example.
Got you. Yeah, that's I mean, that in itself is a funny sentence of remember what dimension you're working in. We're space wizards.
Yeah, but I think that's also, you always have to keep in mind, I mean, it doesn't matter in which program or discipline you're working on, but you always have to keep in mind what the usage of this will be. So for me as an illustrator, for example, it makes no sense to create something within a small resolution if I want to print it big scale afterwards. So I think it's the same when it comes to photography or also to augmented reality or 3D
Yeah.
things.
I guess my main concern is I know these things are very intensive on computer hardware,
Yep.
and so I wonder if you run into any limitations that you have to just say we can't do it that big, or whether you just say no, we will do it.
Yeah, I have, I mean, I have to be honest, I have no idea what my computer is capable of because
Mhm.
I've never done something this big that
Never
it
pushed it
kind of
yet.
seems to give up on one point. I
Yeah.
mean, it happened once in After Effects, but yeah, not in Aero. And I played around in Adobe Aero on the iPad a lot, and it's really
Okay. Yeah.
fun. And but today we are using the desktop app.
Okay.
So as you can see, this is the QR code for the project. The three of them were doing, and now we will jump right away into Aero and create our own scene because
All right.
yeah, we just have 1 hour. it's not that long. So I will give a small overview about the basic features. As you can see in the top, you have this edit mode and preview mode. I mean, now it's empty, so there's nothing to preview.
It's a
And
visualization of a Monday morning
yeah,
inside my head.
exactly.
We're just getting started.
Yeah,
The
we're
week is yet
just
to
getting
come.
started. So, yeah, if you, it's like I told you this before, we were talking about this before. It comes with some kind of starter assets. So we have some abstract shapes. Then it's nice to explore them when you want to try something out for the first time. You have some characters. They also have a nice name. You also have some letters and symbols, also some illustrations, which is also quite nice because for me as an illustrator, it makes it so fun to... Oh, hello? Ah, now it's working. Makes it so fun to explore all the things. If I press the control and play around with my mouse, I can rotate the canvas a bit, or my surface. So if I want to import something from the Creative Cloud, for example, all the assets Matthias shared with me, I just have to press the import icon, and then we're ready to go. And on this side, you can see all the elements you added to the scene. So
that's kind of like your layers, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you can play around with them and place them. You can see it's automatically telling you about where it is. So you also have some kind of control for yourself, how many centimeters or where it will be placed in the end. So another super important thing are these arrows and also the symbols. So if we want to move it, want to rotate it, we have to press the red circles. If we want to move it in this direction, we have to press the blue ones. And if we want to change the size, we just have to take the small squares, And as you can see, it offers a lot to explore and to play around with.
Yeah.
So if you want to change the scale, of course, you can lock and unlock the elements. So if you want to change the size in this direction or in the other one.
And this particular asset you've dropped in here, does it have any sort of texture or material applied to it, or is that something that you do later?
This is something that Matthias did, I guess, and he will talk about this
Okay.
in the next days. So now we have something to preview. That's super fun because, as you can see, this funny swirl is not added to the E shape. So if you think about it big scale, you can walk through it. And that's the thing that I found super interesting when it comes to augmented reality, that you can explore it from so many different angles.
Yeah, I remember I think it was maybe 2018 or 2017, at Adobe Max, there was, I think it was a Photoshop document, all the different layers, and walking through with an iPad, and you could see between all the layers.
Yeah.
Really immersive. Of course, you're watching someone on a stage
Super
just
cool.
holding an iPad, but
yeah.
for the person holding the iPad, what you see is it's just a different way of seeing your artwork, different way of experiencing it.
It's so cool. I forgot to tell you that you can also choose between different anchor types. You can choose between horizontal, vertical, and image-based ones. That's also very nice. I mean, it depends on what you want to create. In this case, it makes sense that we choose the horizontal surface because we want to place it somewhere on a table or in our living room in the end. But if you, for example, want to create something, maybe you have seen this kind of cards with the QR code or some kind of posters where you can scan the code and then you have an augmented reality experience popping up on your phone or iPad. So then it makes sense to place an image. Of course, you have to choose an image. I can just choose this one because this is what the Earth Day is all about. Oh no, close angle. And then, oh no, my computer hates me today. Also, my computer fan is making some weird noise, but we can do it. So as you can see, it's placed on the bottom because it makes no sense to put it somewhere else. So you can create some AR experience out of an image if you want to. But in our case, we focus on horizontal experience.
Okay.
So
we got a question actually, or a discussion of using this for interior design. I don't believe we'll be going through any interior design stuff, but is that something that you've personally played with? Like laying out like how a room would look?
No, not really, but it's super fun. I mean, in my case, I'm an illustrator and it's super fun to place your illustration on some walls or furniture or play around with some patterns for floor design, for example.
Yeah, I'm just kind of imagining now. So I recently just started selling photography prints, and I was getting all different samples and all the testing and taking the photos myself in my living room, seeing how the frames look on the wall, and then presenting those as the different sizes and everything. And a part of me did think, oh, should I do stock photography? But then still, you're not going to get stock photography of images at your dimensions and frames, and you can't really know if it's accurate. And so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, yeah, if I could use some sort of, you know, software to generate all these different things and just, you know, rinse and repeat for all the different images that I'm selling, that could save a lot of time
Yeah.
and be accurate. Interesting.
And I mean, it's a very nice experience, or a total different experience for someone who has no idea how your artwork will look like on, I don't know, their gallery wall, for example.
Yeah. I mean, potentially, this might be thinking a little too advanced now. If you could create some sort of extension of this that people could add in their own photo of their own living room and bring in their own scene, or I guess potentially take it into onto the smartphone and use AR to see how it would position in real life.
Yeah, that's super fun. And I mean, it's also nice if you created something and then you can share it with someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, so Oliver's saying about taking a photo on the wall with a frame and then editing in Photoshop. That is exactly what I did. And it was quite a process.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we're dragging in different assets here and building up a
Exactly.
scene. Yeah.
I'm adding all the assets, and then we can play around and add some movement. And in the end, we want to, or it's, no, this one, we want to touch this one. Here we go. In the end, we want to create something that we can go through in the end, or has some, yeah, nice dimension in the end. So
Yeah.
I'm placing some elements more in the back and some more in the front.
Can I just say I'm so happy to see a naming convention with these files. Because of course we're spelling out Earth Day, but in alphabetical terms, they're not in the correct order. So the numbers help.
Yeah. They really help. Yeah, it's always nice to name all your layers and assets.
Yeah. I get very shouty at those who don't.
So when we play around, wow. When we play around, we can see that they are all in different positions. It's very nice because then you can control yourself somehow. You have some more space where you want to add some extra things.
Yeah, it's just a different mindset in 3D. Even just the E, for example, I had no idea until you span the camera around that the spring element was so far away from the rest of it.
Yeah.
It really just changes almost the emotion of it when you change the perspective.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that's the exciting part about it.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's really fun. I think often learning new things can be very exciting and also somehow or sometimes exhausting because you don't know where to start. But once you start it, it's so much fun to create something.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine just spending a lot of time just moving things around. You're not actually designing, you're just rearranging.
Exactly.
And now you've got a whole extra dimension to rearrange within.
And also you have to leave your comfort zone a bit. But it
I imagine
offers...
it's not easy if you're indecisive. If you can't make a decision very easily, then you'll probably lose a lot of time.
Yeah, that's true. So... But I have a question for the chat because I'm super curious.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I would like to know if someone played around with augmented reality experiences, or if someone created something in Aero as well.
Yeah. And how did it go as well?
Yeah.
To follow up with that. Was it just a one-time play, or have you changed career?
So we can also switch to our preview.
I got a few mentions in the chat as well saying some 3D elements can also be made in Illustrator and brought over to Aero.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you're comfortable in Illustrator, that's a good place to start. That potentially may be where I would start with things. A few people have used Aero, some haven't. Interesting, yeah. And Sean has mentioned he's put an Aero QR code on postcards that he sends out. So
nice.
That's fun.
That's cool.
I'm wondering, Sean, if you have a link to any sort of video or image of what happens with the QR code.
Yeah, just put it in the chat. I'm super curious. What I forgot to mention is when you touch one element, you can also make it some kind of flying through, or just put it a little bit up off the ground. So you can see the shadow, then it has some kind of distance, so you can place something underneath or on the top of it.
Let's see. And I'm assuming we have no gravity control in this.
No.
So it's not just going to fall.
Zero.
It can sit in space. Yeah.
That's also quite fun because it's not just going horizontal, but also you can also play around with the dimension going up or down if you want to. If you want to hide something in the floor, you can do this as well. So I'll put this one a little bit more, and we'll just put it on the ground.
I can also imagine this would be a lot of fun for creating exhibition spaces.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking,
exactly.
you know, of events, and a lot of creative events love to have abstract shapes and just things that, you know, make up a stage. And that's how I'm imagining this, as something life-size that you could walk through and get photos around and all sorts.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so fun to do it. So when I was preparing this stream, I really had a very nice time playing around with all the different features.
Yeah.
So
I have a question that personally I don't know if I understand, so maybe you may. Can we make new 3D volume in Aero?
You mean new things we want to add, or?
Potentially, that might be what the question's referring to. So maybe 3D assets, can they be made in Aero, or is Aero just your staging environment?
Yeah, as far as I know, it's just for staging, but you can play around with some assets that are included in Aero. So I was showing before, like the shapes, the different shapes, or there are also some for interior design, because we talked about this before. We can also add a chair if you want to.
Yeah.
A dining chair, for example. I mean, in this case, it makes no sense, but it comes with some presets.
Yeah. I imagine as well
But
there are communities of designers who create assets
yeah,
that you can get.
I mean, it makes sense. So if you're a designer yourself, you want to show your own designs within the 3D environment or augmented reality environment. So, I mean, in my case, if I want to add some illustration of mine, I will delete the chair. Because I, for example, created a bird. And I want to see how this bird would look like within this nice Earth Day setting. I would just add this PNG file, which I mean, I created this illustration in Adobe Fresco, and then I added just this PNG file to Adobe Aero, and it works perfectly. You can also take a look at the preview. So now we have, I mean, it's just two-dimensional, but we added this cute little bird into our nice scene.
You know, there were times when I was working as a designer, and you get some odd questions from various producers and project managers, and someone once asked me what was on the back of an image. It's like, well, it's a flat image. I can't show you the back. Or like if I take something out, there's just a hole. And now we can finally see what is on the back of a PNG. It's a reverse.
Yeah, but I think Robert and Matthias will talk about how to create the perfect assets in different ways within the next few days. So please be patient.
Yep, no, I think that's...
And tune in tomorrow
exciting.
and on Wednesday.
Yeah. So yeah, tomorrow I'll be hosting with Robert, and that'll be fun. And then on Wednesday, it's going to be a 90-minute stream. So we'll have even more time to go through with asset creation.
Perfect. So I'm just trying to add all the elements.
Do you happen to know how long it took making this collection of assets? Maybe Matthias can mention in the chat.
That's too big.
Could almost be a little bit like a crossword in 3D space. You turn it some ways, different words appear.
That's true. That's true. Just have to figure out.
A great puzzle for like a newspaper daily crossword puzzle, but on a tablet device. 3D space one, and yeah, my brain is coming alive with this. I'm running through all sorts of thoughts on where things could go. This also reminds me, there's a video game. I think it's called what's it called? Echo something, and it's in 3D space, and you have all these lines that join up, and your character has to run across the line. But in order to get there, you can change perspective so that the lines converge and like separate. And so all you do is you move the camera, and then the character just runs across the line. It's
nice.
a great 3D puzzler. Really satisfying design as well.
So I'm not sure if I want to keep the bird. Just place it in the back. Because they created such a nice color concept, and now I'm coming with a super bright and pink bird and ruin all the...
What type of bird is it? The beak looks like a kookaburra, but it's
I don't know exactly. But the legs are still missing.
just hide it. Just put it behind something.
It's a super colorful bird. So now I have to change perspective. So as you can see, it would be a nice walk-in experience because we have so many different things to explore from so many different angles.
Yeah, so funny from this view, if you presented that to someone, they'd say, "What? What is it?"
That's true. But I think that's the funny thing about it, because it's all about making your own experience, right? So just have to make sure that this one is on this little stair. Yeah. Oh no. Here we go.
Do you have controls at all to select things and align them together? Is it similar to things like Illustrator in that sense?
It's a good question, actually. I mean, you can select multiple things. So as you can see,
I can move.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes really sense that you name all your assets and layers like this one, because if you are working on something with a lot of details, then you will get lost.
Yeah. And can you group your layers and link them together?
I think this is just for the assets you load in.
I was just wondering if there was, say, multiple assets that you could say, this is the word day, and now let me just move day rather than always having to choose them.
Matthias also uploaded this one. This is the whole scene they created back in April. Now it's 2. But then you have to export it as a whole thing from Substance. You can also place it. So as you can see, this is the whole thing they provided, but we will just delete this one because we're running out of time, right? Clock is ticking on Adobe Live.
Well, it's all coming together. It's this is how creativity works. It's just play and tweak and adjust.
Yeah, that's true. That's also the fun thing about it. So maybe we this one also a bit in the front. Let's jump into the preview. Oh no. Perfect. So, for example, what I want to show, because I'm always keeping an eye on the clock, is I want to add some movement as well, or some kind of actions for
Okay.
specific assets. So, for example, we have this very nice icon. It's called Behavior Builder. When I click on this one, we can add some trigger and actions to make it more interactive. And
Okay.
that's the fun thing about augmented reality, I think.
Yeah.
So we will add some, just pick one asset, for example, the bird, and add some action. And now we can say, okay, do we want to have something right away when we start with the experience? Do we want something when we tap on it, or when we enter it or leave it when we are walking into a scene? So in this case, I pick just start. And I want it to bounce, for example. So as you can see, it's bouncing. So
Nice.
then you can play around with the different anchors and, of course, duration. And for example, I add 3 times. Yeah. So you have a lot of options to create or to make your augmented reality experience more into an experience within activity.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's super fun.
This is also kind of reminding me of creating a presentation in Keynote.
Yeah.
And choosing your animations and choosing your, your timing of things.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, could you turn this into an experience, delivering a talk somewhere, but you're walking through with everyone.
Yeah.
And they experience all the things.
And I mean, imagine going through your own artwork and everything moves, and you can experience and see all the things within different angles as well. So it's a totally different and new experience. And that's what makes it so fun.
Yeah.
And it also makes sense to have a concept or a nice scribble up front, because otherwise, you will get lost because there are so many possibilities.
Yeah.
You will want to add this one and this movement, and then you play around with different swirls or bounces, and then there is no limit.
I think one of the things that that we often forget is that sometimes the best things are just very simple, and it's just the media or the material that you use, for the project that make it come alive. Like it could be a nice illustration or a piece of typographic design, but the paper that it's printed on, that's what makes it, special. Or it could be the lighting of an area and a very simple object, but it's the experience of it. We don't need to go and add every tool and feature just because we have every tool and feature.
Yeah, that's true. So in this case, I took this swirl, or in German it's called Würstel. It's looks like a small sausage. So in this case, it makes sense to spin it around. So we tried it like this. So it's super fun to have some kind of spinning. You can also play around with the duration of it. You can also choose infinite.
I guess if we change the easing, that would just continually spin.
Yeah.
Nice.
So this one is continuing. This one we just selected, just do it once, and it's super fun to play around. And add some, we can also choose this one. right here.
And is the control of this similar on iPad? Do you have the same element of control, or is it limited?
As far as I know, it's kind of the same or almost the same. I mean, the surface looks a bit different, but it comes with all the starter assets and also with all the features.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
I
feel
mean,
like
it's
on touch could be maybe a bit easier to just navigate around. Like you
yeah.
could just work a bit quicker, maybe.
Of course, it's super nice to control or to create something very quick. But I have the feeling that it's more precise when you work with your mouse and you have all the control on your desktop. I mean, it's kind of almost the same, but
yeah,
it's a bit different.
I see. Yeah. As Sandrine's mentioned in the chat, in terms of the user interface, it's very much like a mix between XD and Dimension. It's got that sort of, I don't know what the design language is called within Adobe, but that layout is definitely familiar.
Yeah. So I know we're running out of time, so I just try to add different things to give you a small preview of what you can do within Adobe Aero. I mean, this one is going to explode. So we're not doing the infinite thing. Yeah, now it works. And I think we have 10 minutes left, right?
Yep, just about that.
Yeah, because I will quickly show you how you can share your artwork or your scene you've created. So you might be familiar with the share button.
Yeah.
You can create a link. And I think there are two options. Either you share the link or you can also share a small QR code, which will be created in a few seconds. Or not. Still. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah.
Just wondering if I can scan this as well.
I hope so.
The login.
But I will copy the link and put it in the chat. So if you have installed Aero on any of your devices, you can instantly open this one. And otherwise, I think it will open in the browser, I guess.
Okay, let me try. So how would I scan this? You know what? I upgraded my phone the other day. I haven't logged into any of my apps, and this is going to be a problem for me.
Yeah, of course, you have to be signed in your Creative Cloud and...
Yeah, granting permissions to camera and...
Yep, exactly.
I haven't actually downloaded the right apps, so that was useless on my part. So when this is shared, people can go and experience it, and they can, see the scene.
Yeah.
But they can't make any adjustments, right? It's just the final.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe some of you have seen the small QR codes on business cards or posters or giveaway cards or greeting cards. So, or even at exhibitions, sometimes you can scan the QR code and then some kind of AR experience opens up. So this will be the way to go. And I also have to add That's also super fun. You can also add some sound to different elements or to your whole composition. That's also very nice because imagine you as a photographer, you can add some nice sounds to your landscapes or to the nice pictures you've created. That's also another kind of making your experience more fun.
Yeah, it's sorry, I'm just playing around with it now. I've managed to get it to work.
And
Um,
how do you like it?
so the difficulty I was having is I was opening Aero and then scanning the QR code when in reality I should have just opened my camera
Yep.
and got the QR code as a link.
Yep.
And now I have this whole scene on my desk.
And are you excited?
Yeah, this is cool. Let me place it, and now there's the bird. There's the area. I feel like one of those situations where you're playing Nintendo Wii and someone's looking at you through the living room. They're like, "What are you doing?
What are you
Swinging
doing?"
your arms around."
Yeah.
I'm having a great time. I'm looking at all this. Amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, adding audio and sort of branded audio, that's definitely a lot of fun. And,
That's super cool.
Yeah,
and I think
it's
also
amazing.
a lot of big companies are doing this, adding some audio to some kind of experience. I mean, a few weeks ago, there was Art Electronica Festival here in Linz, and there was some kind of exhibition. Yeah, super nice festival. There was some kind of exhibition space from, I think it was BMW, and they also created some kind of mixed experience for the audience. And it's super nice because you can add some more information to whatever you want to communicate or make your experience more fun.
Yeah, it's I love going to exhibitions.
Yeah.
Actually we've got London Design Festival this last week.
Oh, cool.
And I went to one on, I think it was Wednesday of last week. Very, very simple in its setup. So it was hosted by Sony, and they were showcasing some new, I guess, like display panels, tiny little tiles that you can just tile together and I think make infinite screen size. And so the way that they demoed it is they had this glass cube, and at one end is just a screen, the whole floor to ceiling. But the cube was mirrored, but only for certain channels of light. So one of them was red channels, the other one was green, and then blue channels.
Cool.
And so this projection was bright on the screen, but it was reflected in different colorways. And into the cube, you've got the 3D space, everything's like reflected in 3D. But the screen itself was interactive based on who entered the cube. So if you walked to one side, stuff happened on one area, and the music changed, and then you go to another side, and then the audio changed a little bit. Very simple, but I spent a long time in there just playing around. It's just, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, but that's what makes it fun, and it's super cool to play around with this new kinds of addition to reality.
Yeah, it's it's just heightening and bringing all of your senses alive.
Exactly. That's what's, it's super fun to play around and to create some new things.
Yeah.
Be creative.
Yeah, definitely. And likewise, it doesn't really matter which way you look at it. There's always something interesting to see. Yeah. So I think tomorrow with Robert, we're going to be going through. You said Robert worked on some of the textures and sort of surfaces.
Yeah.
So this is going to be interesting because I had a lot of questions, but realized that they were potentially questions for later, jumping ahead of myself. So I'm going to have a lot of questions tomorrow, and we'll have some interest and insight. Likewise, those of you in the chat, if you want to join in tomorrow and you have some further questions, now is the time to think of them and prepare them. And then on Wednesday, we will be taking, I guess, a step back and looking at some of the asset
Yeah.
creation with Matthias. And yeah,
Yeah, it's
that
gonna
would
be super exciting and fully packed with information. And it was so amazing what they did back then in April. So I highly recommend to watch tomorrow and also the stream on Wednesday as well.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be fun. And also some kind of deep dive into 3D, building 3D, how everything works. And yeah, it will be super fun.
Yeah. I think once again this has got me very inspired and excited, and I'm now gonna have to try and find some time to play around. And my mind is racing with ideas on things, so I need to try and bottle this so that I can come back to it and play around, because
Yeah, go for it, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, you can also add some pictures. You can also add some trigger for example, this for example, this wheel. So when you click on this wheel or tap on this wheel on your phone, for example, you can open a picture or
I see. Yeah.
add something different. So it's super fun to play around. And yeah, it makes totally sense to have a nice concept. So that you have a nice concept that is taking you through the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the right direction, exactly. But yeah, it's super fun.
Amazing. Well, this has been a great insight. Thank you for sharing everything.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I think we are just about time on stuff. So thanks for everyone for joining. Make sure you do tune in tomorrow for more 3D, and Wednesday, and of course on Friday as well we have our Adobe Express. So Thursday, you're on your own time. You can spend that time playing around and get involved with things and have fun. So thank you, Carina, for joining. Thank you in the chat, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Then have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.